If you ever want to see a thick, muscular Englishman ram his bulging, veiny club deep in the guts of a Swiss Superman on network television, then this is a show for your specific needs, you weirdos. I'm John Renton with my review of WWE Smackdown from Chicago, the All-State Arena, and there were a couple decent moments on this show, a nice hook at the end, even though it's pretty obvious where they're going with it. If you can't figure it out, well, then you either haven't watched all that much television, you don't give a shit like a lot of people, or you haven't gone outside and interacted with anybody for the last year or so. And why would you want to interact with anybody? People are really goddamn weird. Like me. Anyway, yeah, this show. Let's just talk about it. I'm going to have a lot of jokes for this because I really didn't care about some of this show. And, oh boy, there was one particular moment where I'm like, how did this happen? How on earth did this goddamn happen? Recaps of Zayn, Bork, and Heyman. The Heyman, the master of the universe, getting all happy about Bork beating up Sami Zayn. And Heyman is waiting for Roman to arrive. He's waiting for his tribal chief. My tribal chief has come for me. And it's boss crime in Chicago. Oh, wait, no, it's boss time in Chicago. I misunderstood that. Tony gets a jobber entrance. Tony Storm, who is one of the best workers, going today. She is really fan-fucking-tastic. Man or woman, she is really, really good. And she has just either had to deal with holding, the second drippiest Aussie cream pie that I have seen on the internet. You don't want to know about the first. Always search history. And she's feuding with Charlotte Flair over pies. I baked you a pie. Oh boy, what flavor? Pie flavor. That's the level of this feud. These 3D graphics are absolute goddamn ad. They are fucking terrible. All the weird sparkles, jingle, jangle sparkles. It kind of reminds me of some of the stuff from Super Mario RPG. If you've seen Super Mario RPG, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So anyway, it's Sasha and Tony versus Shotzi and Charlotte. Remember when Shotzi and Charlotte were having a match, about, 6 weeks ago or so? And then Shotzi blamed Charlotte, or Sasha rather, for costing her that match. And she turned heel, and then they basically did fucking all with it, outside of maybe like a brief skirmish at Survivor Series. And now Shotzi is here, teaming with Charlotte. I get that they're both heels, but the match had its moments as it got going, but it's hard for me to care when neither of these feuds are any goddamn good. Of course, you get Spider-Banks. Spider-Banks does whatever a Spider-Banks does because Sasha was at the Spider-Man No Way Home premiere. I've had only a few people ask me this, but I figure I should just put it out for the audience. I'm not going to review Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll tell you why I'm not going to review it. Not that I don't think it's going to be a good movie, but there's so many MCU movies that I haven't been able to keep up on it. I've heard it is damn good. I hope everybody enjoys it. And if you have seen it, please don't put any spoilers in the comment. Check out some of the reviews that I've done. I did a review of Nightmare Alley, and there was all of 10 people in there because apparently watching Guillermo del Toro film noir movies is not the ideal holiday treat. Anyway, so Pat did say at one point he was talking about the Spider-Man movie, Toby Keith and Zendaya. I don't know who the hell Zendaya is, by the way, but people tell me she's really, really popular. The crowd was quiet for some of this. I think it's because they didn't know how to react. And WWE's gotten way too comfortable doing the crowd sweetening, like, the weird piped-in cheers or piped-in boos, and I don't understand why. Let the crowds react. If you can't get crowds to react to what you're doing with your product, you need to put on something better. And that's nothing against any of these women. They got right into the action after a little bit of recapping, and that's good. And they gave these women quite a bit of time. They got the crowd into it eventually. There were less Let's Go Sasha chants. There were 2 ad breaks during this, by the way. This show was like 500% ad breaks. And I get it. They got to get the revenue. They got to do this, but they don't pace the show properly at all. We'll get, people making their entrance. Then we'll get a break. We'll get a bunch of backstage stuff. And then these people will still be in the ring 10 fucking minutes later. I'm not going to go watch a WWE show until live, even if they come back to Seattle anytime soon, until they figure out this shit. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, the crowd seemed like they were cheering, but then there were times they would show, shots of the crowd, and they weren't cheering at all, so it was a bit weird. We had a close to and a crossbody, and then Tony gets a variation of the most devastating maneuver in all professional wrestling surprise, roll up 1, 2, 3, and she pins Charlotte. So she earns a title opportunity next week. And then Xavier Woods is crowning on camera again on his Caucasian throne, the Caucasity! And a bunch of people there, are backstage. Like Nakamura, who's the current Intercontinental Champion. And if you forgot that, don't worry. You're not the only one. So the Usos interrupt and we're getting a match later because these teams are just, they're human centipede together at this point where they can't face anybody else. They always have good matches. Seriously, you can't run some feuds into the ground. No matter how hard you try, you just can't do it. Even if they're good, don't run feuds into the ground. This goes for all companies. So, the Viking Raiders' entrance reminds me of a bad Skyrim mod. A bad Skyrim job, if you will. Don't Google that, kids. Don't Google that. And if you're a kid, how are you watching this? Why are you watching this? Why are your parents allowing you to watch something from a clearly disturbed 40-year-old wrestling fan? So anyway, Natty tells Megan that Xia Li is on notice. Not red notice, we don't have the egg. Ha ha ha. $100 million egg. It's such good shit. Ha ha ha. Anyway, yeah, Xia Li's on notice. She's going to kick her ass next time. So the Raiders have been in the ring, by the way, for about 10 minutes. Jinder is a former WWE champion. Thanks for reminding us of this tragedy, Michael Cole, you twat. So, we go to another ad break. The match starts during the break. Not that I gave a shit about this match anyway, but the Raiders versus Jinder and Skanky Shanky or Shanky Williams. Shanky Williams, that's what I'll call him. I don't know why, but what the fuck. Ask for dinner was a line from Pat, and then we get a splash for 3. I didn't care about this match. Moving on. Recaps of Drew inserting his sword in Pierce's wood, while Pierce cannot jerk Drew's sizable sword, gripping the shaft, working on the... Stop thinking about Drew's shaft. I know you know who you are. Stop it. Get some help. So, Corbin and Moss, by the way, are pushing this desk, to the ring. They stole this desk last week with the sword in it. So here's a question I have: How did this sword desk get to the other venue? Did they ship it, in a cargo freighter? Did they ship it around the world, like Daft Punk style? Did they buy it a first class seat? If so, how did they get it through the front, the door there, the entrance, and get it down the aisleway like a drink cart? It's not exactly like that desk was small. It doesn't even look like the same goddamn desk. How did any of this happen? Why are Corbin and Moss getting more TV time when, regardless of how they are in the ring, they're not good characters at all? They're fucking show killers. So the Lesnarjack is here, and he's okay. Heyman is like, I was expecting to see someone else. And Bork's like, are you going to be an advocate? What are you going to do? Bork, Bork, Bork. There we go. Corbin and Moss get dubbed in clapping. Because nobody cares about Corbin and Moss. How did the desk get there? Did the desk just magically grow legs? Did we get CM Punk chants? What did we get? What were we getting? It sounded like they were trying to dub over some chants. So Corbin wants Moss to pull it out in front of him. The sword, that is. Get your minds out of the gutter. I run a clean show. But he can't. And Corbin can't jerk it out in front of Moss. Man, when your best friend can't pull it out in front of you, are they really your best friend? Here comes Drew. Are we having some performance issues? He pulls it out one-handed. Who was this for? Stop thinking about Drew going one-handed. I know you're thinking about it. You know who you are. And he almost... I did like how Pat was high as fuck during this show. My God. If he didn't take edibles, he took something. He was high during this. Pierce and Sonya are talking to Sammy. He says the holidays are all about giving. He wants another title shot. And they say, how about a 12 Days of Christmas gauntlet match next week? I think they're taping Smackdown. If they're not taping it right now, or if they weren't taping it right afterwards for next week to give them the holiday break, which they really should have been fucking giving them, then I don't know what we're doing here. Honestly, I really think that what they should have done is they should have taped the 27th. Raw, they should also tape the 31st, the New Year's Eve edition, and then just giving them a break until day one-ish, because that's going to be the pay-per-view on the first day of 2022. So as far as names go, it's not exactly wholly original. So anyway, he did say one line at one point where, he tossed him out like Shad Khan tossed Urban Meyer out of Jacksonville. My God, the competition! Oh no, scandalous, actually. It's a good thing. Urban Meyer's a fucking idiot and deserved to fucking be fired. Goddamn idiot. And then we get to where Ridge, decides to be the thick Englishman and take his bulging veiny club and slam it deep into the guts, ramming it, jamming it into the guts of the Swiss Superman Cesaro. And he's holding his ribs, and he's just all busted up. He takes on Cesaro takes on Ridge with Sheamus in the corner. Sheamus ends up distracting a little bit later. And there you go. We get a slam for 3. Ridge wins. Somebody actually had to remind me that Ridge lost a match at one point, and I totally forgot that Ridge had actually had a match. That's how little any of these shows matter. So anyway, Drew is looking for Corbin backstage. Naomi makes her entrance. Feel the Glow is next. I thought we were going to get a talk show. Nope, Naomi has a list. The one wish is to face Sonya. Here's Sonya. She says, hey, Shayna's your opponent. And then Shayna attacks Naomi. And then Naomi pins her via roll-up within 60 seconds. Why doesn't everybody just go for a roll-up on Shayna? What is this? Seriously. Nothing even, again, I like that Naomi's at least getting wins. There's nothing wrong with that. But this whole Sonya-Naomi thing, it's like they're trying to do something long-term and they don't quite know what to do with it. They're like, oh shit, we got to go back to this. Hey, let's have Xia Li show up one week and then forget about her. As far as the storyline, I don't know. Corbin and Moss are in a dark room. It's going to be Moss versus Drew at day one. If that isn't on the pre-show, I don't know what we're doing. Megan, though, my goodness. So, people were pulling Woods' throne, and then the Usos took on the New Day. It's round 45,000 in a match that was fine, had some good sequences, and Trouble in Paradise. There you go. And they're going to face off again at day one-ish. Roman is not happy with Heyman. I did like the Needle Mover shirt. I like that. Next week. Oh, by the way, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is going to be out on demand on the 21st. I reviewed it a month ago. Or just, on the first day they came out. Well, technically the day before the first day it came out. And it was dog shit. You can check out my review if you'd like. But if you haven't had a chance to see it in theaters, get it on demand. Or don't. Go like half and half at least with a friend because it's really bad. So, next week, Charlotte versus Toni, women's title. And 12 Days of Christmas, Gauntlet Battle Royal. Or Gauntlet match, rather. I thought it was going to be a Battle Royal, which I would have thought would have made more sense. But, nope. It's a Gauntlet match. And even if they keep those matches to like 5 minutes, that's going to take up at least a goddamn hour. So, anyway, Roman and Heyman come to the ring. And the crowd was split. He wants them to acknowledge his meat. Stop it. So, he talks about family and to Heyman, but you're not my blood. Can I trust you, wise man? And about Brock and everything coming back. Did you know Brock's suspension got lifted? Are you special counsel or are you an advocate? Heyman's just having a blast with this stuff. And he says, are you protecting Brock from me or what are you doing? He's like, I'm not protecting Lesnar from you. I'm protecting you from Brock. And I thank you for your honesty, and you're fired. We get a Superman punch. We get an attempt at a concerto. Bork comes down, throws the Usos around, and then gets hit with a few chair shots and a couple F5s to Roman. So it's clearly obvious that this is a swerve. Heyman is going to align with Roman to screw over Brock at day one, and Roman's going to keep the title. Why would they just do it on a throwaway show all of a sudden? They would make people pay for it, or at least watch and be stimulated by the cock. Day one cock. In fact, I would call the pay-per-view that, except I would probably get in trouble. So anyway, yeah, that's what happened. They're going to screw over Brock at the pay-per-view. Pretty obvious. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.